What I do with people is I help remind them of a time where they had the will. So to all of us, man, carry a baby picture of yourself in your iPhone. Carry a picture of yourself when you were like 6 and you were missing teeth and you still smiled. I like to trigger you back to a time where you had the will.
So firstly, how did you guys like Tim's speech today? So I take it you liked it. Awesome. So Tim, firstly, it's such an honor having you here in Estonia. And some of my friends in the audience were saying, wow, I love his style. It's so American. Because a lot of the other teachers here are European, and their style is slightly different. But you were like interesting, alluring, and I love how you bring in theater and comedy into your speech. There you go. Basically,
magic.
The way you get mics working here is you just bang them on my knee.
I think that a lot of my style is from comedians. So I never really studied professional speakers. I studied comedians as a teenager. And that's like the tempo, the pace.
That's phenomenal, Tim. Speaking of style, is there a particular person, living or deceased, whose style you like, the way they walk, the way they talk, that you've modeled yourself after?
When I was a kid, there was an actor by the name of Billy D. Williams, and he was in a movie, Lady Sings the Blues, and also Mahogany with the great Diana Ross. And as a black man, when I saw him, so smooth, and in one of the movies, Vishen, he opened the door for Diana Ross, and I'm like, I was only like 10. I'm like, I'm gonna open doors for people. So it was Billy D. Williams. I thought he was very smooth, had a way about him. And a cool story is about 10 years ago, I was walking through the Century City Mall in Los Angeles area, and he was coming one way, I was coming the next way. And we just stopped each other. And we had like this greatest talk for like an hour. But Billy D. Williams taught me a lot about style and fashion.
He was Lando Calrissian in Star Wars.
He sure was, yes.
What an incredibly cool character. And that's why they made Billy D. Williams Lando Calrissian. So you want to know who mine is?
Tell me.
In terms of actors with style? And it's why I wear these glasses. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
I love the glasses. I love the Iron Man glasses.
And they're very much those glasses.
Yeah. Well, these are a cheaper version. I don't have Agnes.
I'm going to tell Robert this for real. That's super, super cool.
But not only that, but the AI that Mindvalley is building that we're hoping to launch by 2030 that helps people navigate the world and helps people make the right health decisions and connect with the right people is actually inspired by the Iron Man movies. So in Iron Man, the AI is called Jarvis, and the AI we're building is called Eve. Eve means everyone elevates, but it's also the name of my daughter.
Yes, I love this. And just a little insight is that when Robert was talking about doing that movie, he was telling me and his mother that he wasn't too excited about wearing the red suit. But he was gravitating more to playing the character of Tony Stark. So that's interesting about sometimes when like a magical idea comes, it may be like a little bit you don't want, or maybe you think it's not you, but yet he gravitated to the Tony Stark and, played Iron Man.
Amazing. Now you actually coached Robert Downey Jr.
For many years and still to the present, yeah.
Tell us a Robert Downey Jr. story, because I'm sure a lot of people, especially me, are going to find that very interesting.
Yeah, number one, he's a real friend to the point where he would call my mother just to check on her. And my son plays basketball. And when he was even smaller, Robert would actually go to the games, and people were like, is that the actor Robert Downey Jr.? And he would come, and still does, to some of my talks, my speeches. But one of the things I love about him is he loves to give back. And he's doing something called ARC in prison reform. And so he goes into the prisons all the time and just shares his story, shares his comeback with no cameras, no reporters. He's a give-back person, and if you met him on the street, he'll look you in the eye, pay attention to you, and treat you like the brilliant person that you are. He's like a really good person.
That's amazing, yeah. And his story, his comeback story was absolutely astonishing.
Yes, I think that, for him, it was challenging because with this idea of addiction, and some of you have struggled with that, some of you do struggle with it or have a relative, there's a lot of shame and guilt that many times is tied to that, and a label. And he was on the cover of many magazines where they just labeled him like he's finished. And Vishen, I remember one of the top agents in Beverly Hills, who's still one of the top agents, said to me, Tim, I know you like helping everybody, but you should probably slow down on Robert. He's only going to go so far. And what I love is that Robert never bought into that. But he was willing to do the work, because I think to turn a setback to a comeback, there is work involved. And so he was willing to do the work. And step by step, things just started working out. Maybe you remember this show. I remember the first thing that came was Ally McBeal. And we discussed that. He says, Tim, the creator of Ally McBeal wants me to play this role. It's a TV show. It doesn't make sense. And we dialogued about this, and we said, well, let's get our foot in at least. Let's just get back in the game. But that's a good one for all of us. The comeback is not always like from A to Z. Sometimes it's A to B or C. And so Ally McBeal led to then something that he did with another smaller project in a movie, and then on and on and on and on. And then therefore, the career you see today.
So of everyone you've worked with, is there a story, a comeback story, or a story of miracle that is so captivating that you would most want to share here with us?
I think there's so many, because I get the opportunity to work with so many brilliant entertainers, and the ones that I share this story, they allow me to. There's others that I sign paperwork where you can't talk about it, but they're cool stories still. But I would say that the Kanye West story is really, really kind of interesting, because if you've seen the documentary on Netflix, and Vishen, you see that even when he was in Chicago and it wasn't working for him, he was just voicing it. He was just saying, I'm gonna be. So you gotta remember, I got in with him at 2006. That was like not that much had happened yet. And he was always in my ear like, I'm gonna do. And I thought that was so cool that when he decided he wanted to get involved in fashion, that he actually came to Paris and studied under the people at Fendi just to grow. It's like you coming to Mindvalley and just to grow. I mean, he went to Paris, did an internship. They paid him only $500 a month just to grow. So I think that's cool. I call it thinking big in small places, that I've seen Kanye in the smallest places, and to see that he broke way into the billionaire status by never giving up on his dream.
That's amazing. But let's talk about an aspect of that might make some people uncomfortable, right? So Kanye, obviously a really bold thinker, but sometimes people say that he's a bit narcissistic and that he's delusional. Those are words that have also been used to describe him. Where do you draw the line? Now, I'm not saying that about Kanye. I'm simply saying that's how people sometimes perceive it.
Well, I mean, I think that to the outsider, it could seem that way many times, even to me, being on the inside. So there's times that he's going to do an interview, and I'll say, how about if we don't say this time? And then he says, how about if you let me do the interview? So, if I could pull him in more often, I would have done it, but then I think we would have stopped Kanye from being Kanye. So I think that, I think there's obviously some areas in his life where he is growing and he is maturing. And at times, like for any of us, we have to understand our audience. But underneath that is a very gentle soul, but also underneath that is a very troubled soul at times. But what I love about him is the fact that he is constantly going through recovery and discovery and always wanting to learn.
Recovery and discovery and always wanting to learn. I love that line. Now, let's talk about you. What was it in the mind of that dishwasher kid? And obviously you were diligent, you believed in hard work, you
Yes.
treated that restaurant like you owned it, but surely there was something else. What was going on in your mind that made you who you are?
Well, the thing that happened is that the owner of the restaurant, Mr. Anderson, he said to me one day, Timmy, he says, can you stay after work? I want to talk to you. And he says, I think you're going to really do well in life, so I want to talk to you about the business of owning a restaurant. He just began to discuss how he had put in, at that time, $150,000 of his own money. And he said, I put this money in, I have other money saved, but Timmy, this is a lot of money. I said, yeah, it's a lot of money. And he said to me, help me get my money back. So when I was doing dishes, I was thinking, I'm going to get Mr. Anderson's money back, which I think is really powerful. So he kind of like empowered me by telling me his story, that I want to get his money back. And that's why I got mad at Mickey, who was throwing steaks away, because I'm thinking like, you're losing Mr. Anderson's money. Like, you're not helping Mickey, you're throwing steaks away. Let's get his money back. And I didn't trumpet that to any other employees, but I wanted to get Mr. Anderson's money back.
That's a really powerful lesson. I think a lot of employees who work for entrepreneurs don't realize that the entrepreneurs often put a high amount of money at risk, and that the failure rate, especially in the restaurant industry, is through the roof. Most entrepreneurs, most restaurant owners will fail, right? And that's why it's not a situation of Mr. Anderson having unlimited money. I love that he shared that with you.
Yeah, and I think it was awesome one time, because I worked there for a year and a half, and I graduated from dishwasher to busboy, so hey. And I remember Mr. Anderson said to me, he goes, Timmy, when you take a break, I want to talk to you. And he was a really classy looking guy, tall, brown hair. And he said, I want to tell you, Timmy, you helped me get my money back. He said, now I'm what they call in the black. I go, what's that? He goes, we're making money. It was such a great feeling to even be the dishwasher, then the busboy, and then helping Mr. Anderson get in what he called the black.
Love it. But back to what was going on in little Timmy's head.
Yeah.
So you made Mr. Anderson get back in the black, but there must have been something, because a busboy doesn't get to your level instantly. There must have been something unique or different about the way you perceived the world that led to this success. What do you think that was?
I like where you're going with this. And so my mother, sixth grade education, not a lot of compassion, as I said, never hugged me till she was 71. And I remember, because it was her birthday, and she was hugging me, because I threw this party. I was thrown off. I was like, whoa, mom's hugging now. And so she didn't really feel like she had much to offer, but what she did teach us is don't do like a halfway job. Like, don't do a half-ass job. So if I was to clean my room, you couldn't do it halfway. If I was to do the dishes, you can't do it halfway. If I was to mow the yard, you can't do it halfway. So I took what my mother taught me, don't do a halfway job, to my dishwashing, to my busboy, to Mindvalley this week. So I showed up early. Next thing that I'll do here, I'll show up early again. Next thing I do, I show up early again. I show up early every time. If you meet with me for lunch, I'll be there early. It's just in my mind what my mother taught me. Don't do anything half-assed.
I love that. I love that. And as someone who organizes conferences, I love it when a speaker does that. So Tim showed up so early, he showed up for my orientation talk, even though he didn't need to be there, and he paid attention. In his speech, he made 3 references to my orientation talk because he was paying attention, and I thought that was very impressive.
Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because you paid the price, and to do what you're doing, and to do what you're doing as a team, that I wanted to show up early to show respect, but also to hear your mission, your white paper, your vision. Because when I come in, I'm not coming in as a hireling, Tim Storey, amazing man on this platform. No, I'm coming here to serve a Mindvalley vision. That's a difference.
Thank you, Tim. So what I'd like to do now is take a couple of questions from the audience, okay? Now, here are the rules. Don't make the question about you. Rather, ask a question that you think at least 50% of the room is going to benefit from. So make it a little generic. Who would like to try? Okay, let's get the mic runners ready. Mic runners, you can choose.
Hey,
It's working.
yeah. Hi, Tim. Hi, Vishen. First of all, I think your talk really energized a whole bunch of us, so thank you so much. And I want to ask a very pertinent question. You said that being okay is not enough. Everybody feels that. But many of us, I think, have been in survival mode for far too long, and now might be at a stage where we want to shift to doing something greater, right? We want to shift to unleashing our magic and think beyond survival mode. Is there a switch? Because then our mentality is stuck in the survival mode while we want to achieve something great.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the reason we can't stay in the land of okay, I talk about okay is like living in the mundane. Mundane is the status quo, the regular. If you're not careful, the mundane will graduate to the messy. And then the messy will graduate to the madness. And so I can't leave you just in the mundane in all areas of your life, because it will graduate to messy. That happened to a lot of people during the pandemic. Then it'll graduate to the madness and the chaotic. And then you can't even find the magic. So there's 3 ways to find the magic. Number 1 is education. That's what we're doing this week. Second is observation. You got to observe magic. Third is conversation. You begin to dialogue with other people who are living magical lives, and this is what we're having now, is a great conversation.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for everything and for the amazing talk. I really enjoyed it. A question that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to is, what would you say to someone who has a similar pattern when it comes to finances? As in, you make a lot and then you tend to spend a lot, and then the money just fluctuates all the time. Like your income goes up and down, and so do your expenses, but you're never able to break out of that pattern and actually go to that magic.
I think that's a lot of people. And so in this area, you need a financial expert. You need a financial master. You don't want to just go horizontal with just asking friends. You've got to scale it. And the beautiful thing about today, like even in Mindvalley, we have people that deal with these areas, or there's podcasts that deal with these areas. But I believe in investing in the right, proper money management counsel to scale yourself in that area, because you plan on making a lot of money for a long time. So let's get better at it now. So let that be a goal of yours. Don't just ask questions horizontal, but let's find someone who's a master in money.
All right, thanks.
We'll take several more questions.
Hi, Tim.
And just a second, before asking the question, just state your name and the country you're from, so we get to know you as well.
Hi, Vishen. Hi, Tim. I'm Mayank from India. So delighted to having heard your talk. So my question is something from your talk. You said sometimes you feel that it's not working, and it is working, and then the harvest comes. So personally, when I heard it, I said, deja vu, that's happened to me a lot of times, and it connected a dot back. But what would you suggest? There would be times that something is not working and you still keep pushing the envelope. When to leave it?
It's actually a great question, but that's when you need people in your green room that really understand you. So let's say if I have a project and I decide to make a movie and it's going to be $100 million and it's just not working, I may go to Vishen and say, hey, you're part of my inner circle, you're in my green room. Am I headed the wrong way? Or am I headed the right way? So you need people within your green room that really understand you, and they're not going to judge you, and they're not going to be jealous, but they can give you the right counsel. So I have so many projects going on. I have people in my green room that say, Tim, turn a little left, turn a little right, go ahead and go forward. So you definitely need those green room partners that love you enough to tell you if you're on track.
Thank you so much. That connects another dot.
Thank you.
Hi, Tim. Amazing talk. Thank you very much. So one thing I would like to ask is for those of us who are already making impact, but are looking to maybe impact in a certain niche or with certain people who are harder to reach, and clearly you've worked with certain people who are harder to reach, are there any tips you have around getting into those niches, getting into those groups and those circles to make the impact more aligned with the vision?
The way I see impact is right where you're at. If you're a mother, you're making impact on your child. If you're a school teacher, you're making impact. So I never chased one celebrity. I think we're all celebrities. The word celebrity means to be celebrated. So you should clap your hands like we're celebrities. Go ahead and clap. Okay. So whether I'm working with a very well-known woman or somebody's son who's struggling at 17, see him exactly the same. I promise you, exactly the same. An amazing, magical human being. And I think that the universe just decided to pick me up and put me in these positions because I could handle them. So I think the key is just, prosper where you're planted. Wherever you're at, just keep making the impact and keep on making the impact.
Thank you.
Hi, Tim. I'm Sona. I'm from Los Angeles. And my question is, if we grew up in families that encouraged us to be best at everything and try to, not to do a half-assed job in all areas of our lives, and we try to be perfect in motherhood and in our work and in our health discipline and all of those things, how do you recommend to find a balance, not to half-ass any of those areas?
No, I like what you're saying. So I really believe in this idea of enjoy where you are on the way to where you want to be. So I'm very undone. There's a lot of things I'm not great at, and I'm totally okay with that. But I'm in a process. I have a therapist, proud to say that I have one. I'm constantly working on my craft. I'm constantly working on how to handle money, how to handle people. So enjoy where you are on the way to where you're going. So I don't believe in trying to chase something or make something happen. Let it just be natural. So every day I want to be fully present, fully feeling, fully alive. And I just want to get a little better every day. And when you give yourself that kind of breathing room, wow, life gets good. You'll start seeing the changes naturally. And good to see a fellow Los Angeles person.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question, actually, Tim, I'm going to ask you this question. It comes from a friend of yours in the audience, and she told me to ask you this. How do I find the will to do something?
How do I find the will to do something? I think one of the things that happens when we go through difficulties, I really want you to hear this. It's almost like there is an attack in that area of your will. And I see a lot of people where the will is in shock, or the will is stunned, or even at times where the will has been knocked out. And what I do with people is I help remind them of a time where they had the will. I'll give you an example of a very famous actor that I don't need to say the name, but it's not any that I've mentioned. This guy was struggling. So I said to his manager, do me a favor, get me 3 scenes that you know he loves from past movies. And as part of the coaching, I had him watch these scenes, and he cried the entire time. He said, oh, shit. He goes, I see what you're doing to me. I was reminding him of the time where he had the will. Reminding him at the time he had the passion. So to all of us, man, carry a baby picture of yourself in your iPhone. Do you hear what I just said? Carry a picture of yourself when you were like 6 and you were missing teeth and you still smiled. I like to trigger you back to a time where you had the will.
Beautiful, Tim. Thank you. Let's take another question from the audience.
Hi, my name is Vanina. I live in Canada currently. First and foremost, I just wanted to thank you for planting seeds of hope into my mind. And my question to you is, I'm very much curious to know, when you were planting your seeds before the doors opened for you, what kind of mindset did you cultivate and state of being to help yourself really continue planting those seeds, right?
That's a great question. I think for me first, it was getting out of survival because of the pain I was raised in Compton, California, is like a mindset to survive. Then comes the 6th grade teacher, brands me brilliant. Then comes the high school teachers. My God, Tim Storey, you're on to something. So it's like a little at a time. Aliyah Akoka when I'm only 24 years of age. And for you that do not know that name, he's like the Richard Branson of that day, who comes to me and says, you help me with my inside and my mindset, and I'll help you on business. It was like people came along the path and said, there's more. It's almost like a video game where you're allowed to upgrade. And then like this thing with Quincy calling up Oprah, then that became like mind-boggling. So did I ever think that it would come to this level? The honest truth is absolutely not. I was just very happy to do my undergrad, move on, get my doctorate degree, and help some people. I never thought I'd go to this degree, but it's people that have carried me and helped push me along the way.
Thank you.
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much for such an inspirational talk. I really loved it. So I'm Tatiana, originally from Russia and living in Germany. And I'm a new, super powerful Mindvalley life coach. So what will be your words of wisdom for us life coaches and coaches in general?
Number one, I'm excited that Mindvalley has life coaches. Can you clap for this program? Very excited because it's needed. We have about 8 billion people on the planet, and they need the Mindvalley mindset. And so I think the key is treat each person as though they really are magical. And even if they're living in the mundane, the messy, and the madness, man, see the magical in them. Like put a magical tag on them, even if their life is in disarray. Because as you coach them that way, it's amazing how people begin to rise up. And don't you forget that what you make happen for somebody else, they'll make happen for someone else. So you really are touching the world by touching one person as a Mindvalley coach.
Thank you, Tim. We're going to take our final question.
First of all, it was my biggest highlight of Mindvalley this year, your talk. It was a combination of braingasm, heartgasm, every kind of orgasm I had in your talk. My question is, you might have been coached to many women in different industry. I'm originally from India. I work in Germany. No matter how hard I try, I feel inferior, or sometimes I feel my opinion is not heard just because I'm women. And I wanted to ask you, like, how to deal with this block, which is there in society, or maybe it's in my mind.
Number one, thank you for the compliment. I've never heard it that way. Clap for her. That was pretty awesome. She had a lot of gasms. As a person of color, there's a lot of places I go that they still say no. They may not say it verbally, but I see it in their mind. I see it in their actions. I see it in prove it. And so I think that whoever is going through that, whether it be because of our size, our look, our culture, our gender, that it's important to know who the hell we are. And that you are a miracle in motion. You are a masterpiece in the making. You are fearfully and wonderfully made by this universe. And there's only one of you, and you are unstoppable in any surrounding. That's how we think. Clap your hands for her.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now we have 2 minutes left. The final question for Tim is, Tim, in behalf of all the Estonians in the room, tell us, what do you think of Estonia so far? What are your impressions of this country?
I want to, first of all, thank you again in front of everybody for being you. Can we please give this man a clap? Thank you. Yeah, and caring enough about me to bring me to LA to meet some of your friends, to partner with people. You're very selfless in these things, and I appreciate that with all my heart. So I love Estonia. This place has something magical about it. And I think that from this spot that we can literally touch the world. And I enjoy, as I've been here walking around the old town and just breathing and living. And so I think that Estonia is a magical place and we are creating magical things.
Amazing. Yeah, we have a member from the Visit Estonia team over here, so I'm sure they're going to use this as advertisement sound bites.
As a soundbite. She can quote me verbatim.
Tim, thank you so much. It's so amazing to have you here. And for those of you who don't know, Tim is also going to be teaching the kids. He's going to be teaching the teenagers. He's going to be teaching the 6-year-olds. And I'm so delighted and honored that my children are going to be learning from you, that everyone's children here who are in the children's program are going to get a taste of this man's brilliance.
So I'm so excited about that. I'll be teaching on different, better, more magical in a more animated way. Cannot wait to talk to your kids.
So please give Tim a big round of applause. Thank you, everyone.